X-Men, 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 X-Men. Yay. So in case you haven't noticed, I just got back from watching X-Men Days of Future Past, and I finally feel as though this is the best of the X-Men movies so far, because the first X-Men movie, X1, was not good at all by any stretch of the imagination, and then the second X-Men movie, I feel like they've started getting better, and now with this one, I feel like you can finally pop the champagne because it's good. It's very, very good. Days of Future Past is based on an actual X-Men comic book, and the difference between the X-Men comic book and the movie is in the movie it utilizes more Wolverine, and they send Wolverine back in time. In the comic book, it's more Kitty Pryde focused. So I think one of the reasons they put Wolverine in the movie is because he does well with fans. People already know him. It's an easy plot to follow with him navigating it. So to me, it was just more movie-centric to go that way, and I don't think it hurt the comic book at all by using him as your anchor. So in the movie, Wolverine has to go back to 1973 with the help of Kitty Pryde. He has to stop Mystique from killing Trask, because that leads to Trask becoming a martyr and Mystique getting captured and her genes being reverse engineered to create the Sentinels. Now, like I was saying before, this is finally where the X-Men series gets really good, because growing up, aside from the comic books, the next recreation of X-Men that I felt actually had justice was the WB animated series, and that one was really well illustrated. It was really well done because of the way they portrayed each character. Each character actually looked like the comic book characters, and the plots were central to the comic book. That series, even today, even with this movie being out, I still feel like that's the best representation of X-Men that we have aside from the comic book. But I feel like this movie is a close second, way beyond the other X-Men movies. One of the best things about this movie was Mystique. I had actually forgotten that Jennifer Lawrence was playing Mystique because she didn't have a really big role in the previous movies. And she had to come off as a badass, because that's basically what Mystique is, and her whole motive is just badassery to go back and to go after Trask the way she does. And she pretty much pulled that off in every scene. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, the makeup and the CGI helped her, but if it's bad acting, none of those things are gonna make any difference. The next two characters that completely steal the show are Xavier and Magneto, because you have to believe their backstory and their history, and in the movie you're going backwards and forwards, and you kind of need to be tugged in the brain and the heart that backwards and forwards and the push and pull you feel with those two is something you have to feel throughout the whole movie, and the actors pretty much nailed that. And there's always been this thing, especially in the comic books, where with Xavier and Magneto, and I've always been more drawn, of course, because I'm the devil, to Magneto, because you have to believe everything he's been through, and you have to believe his reasoning for doing everything that he does. And you really get a sense of that in this movie, and I'm so glad that they wrote it well enough, and it was beyond well acted, for you to just pick all that up just from this movie. What was really good too is they had humor within the movie, because you know it's dark and it's dystopian, and the humor lightens it up, but the humor is appropriate. For example, certain characters like Quicksilver, who's not big in the movie, but he has these, you know, funny little one-liners throughout it, and then he has a scene where he shows off his powers, and it's very funny. And that alone, the humor is just so well played out, because it breaks up the movie a little bit from this, you know, push and pull and up and down, and then, you know, you get the humor to kind of just centralize you just for 2 seconds before the action picks right back up. So my favorite scene from the whole movie is where Mystique is going back. Mystique's already back in time, and she's attacking Trask, and then Wolverine and Magneto and Xavier, they followed her, they found her, and they're stopping her from attacking him. And there's this scene where newscasters and the public see everything that's going on. Her trying to attack him, Wolverine and them stopping her, and just the looks on their faces were very much like it was very much like their reaction, I guess, is that very human, dumbfounded dun 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 reaction that you kind of expected people who were not mutant friendly to get, but it's really well done. Not humorous, but an idiot like me will slightly laugh because the reaction is timeless. But it was really well. It was really well filmed and it was really well acted, and I enjoyed that whole scene with it. just that whole reaction to me that scene was just, it was priceless. I loved it. It wasn't really funny, but it was just spot on. So in comparison to Winter Soldier, which is the better movie, I'm gonna have to say X-Men by leaps and bounds, and I say that mainly from a place of being a biased individual, because you have to remember, growing up it was X-Men for me and it was Watchmen, and don't you ever screw with either one of those franchises, because for me those were my everything growing up. They were just so timeless and so well done, and they had so many so many stories and messages, and it tried to make you be a better person. And those two were to me the holy grail, and nothing else compared. And while I feel like Winter Soldier is an amazing movie, it doesn't have the same nostalgic effect as the others have on me. So I'm very much like X-Men, 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 because I grew up with it, and it was always my go-to comic, and I was always sad that the movies never really brought it justice. And I feel like now with this one, it's getting better and it's getting closer, and they're starting to hit their stride finally. I will always say X-Men over Winter Soldier, although Winter Soldier isn't a bad movie by any means. I feel like he finally got his justice, but in comparison to X-Men, no. And what I'm waiting for in X-Men is two of my favorite characters. I'm waiting for them to highlight more Rogue and Gambit. I heard that they just cast Magic Mike as Gambit, and I'm kind of like, no, not on board with that one. But I'm gonna wait and see how it plays out. But I don't know. I don't see him as Gambit at all. He's gonna have to pull off one hell of an acting performance for me to believe that, because no. So in the ending, they actually set up for Apocalypse, who is one of the X-Men villains, and they show him, and they show something else which I don't want to say because I probably shouldn't even tell you about Apocalypse, but it's not really a spoiler. It's just, and that news has been out anyways. Yeah, so they show Apocalypse in the ending, and that sets up for the next movie. And I when I saw that, I was just like, it's really exciting, because I can't wait to see what they do with him in the next movie. And from what I think they're gonna have the same director. I think it's Bryan Singer as well. So can't wait for that, because he did a really good job with this movie. So I finally feel like they're finally getting there. They're doing justice to what X-Men really is, because X-Men has some amazing storylines, and if they just utilize what's in the comic book, they're good. They really don't need to change too much at all. And my next biggest criticism is they need to make the people look like the characters. They've done good so far, but my concern is, and as always will be, Rogue and Gambit. Screw those two up and see how pissed I get. So let me know if you've seen it and what you think about it compared to the previous X-Men movies, and compared to Winter Soldier, and which one was your favorite so far. And a special shout out to Skites.com, Skites.com for all your music, movie, and gaming needs. Thanks to them for sending me to see X-Men. I got to see X-Men. And next up, I get to see Maleficent from the Sleeping Beauty saga. She's the Wicked Witch from that, so that one is coming in a day or two. I've already seen it because of Skites. Alright, you guys, that's it for me. Took with the greatest show on earth. Live long and prosper. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Poke, poke. I'm down to one light bulb. I broke the light, and now the light is not working. So I have to film videos when there's light with one little light bulb left. Duffy, what'd you think?
What did I think? I didn't realize there was anyone in the movie that was Mystique. All I saw was Mystique. That's all I saw.
Hello, children. We're back home. We're back.